Hi everyone, this is Nardine and Vitali, and we are here with Relationship Minutes.
And on today's episode, we're gonna talk to you guys about something that's very important to a lot of couples, is to be able to communicate effectively and knowing how to express that you love him or her.
Yes, that's big. So, what we're talking about is based on a book by Gary Chapman, and it's called The 5 Love Languages. And imagine that you're in a relationship and your personal love language is gift giving. So your partner, birthday comes, an anniversary, you're giving gifts, right? And you feel like you're not as appreciated as you would like to be, and it's frustrating. So what is happening at this point?
Well, in addition to that, can you imagine sometimes you trying to take care of a home and you're cleaning the garage, or you're going grocery shopping, or you're cleaning up the garbage, you're doing all these things, but your spouse is still unhappy. So what's happening? Well, in all these situations, what we found out is that couples actually speak 2 different languages, and they're almost like a passing ships. One goes in one direction, the other one goes in the other direction, and they're not understanding, they're not seeing each other. It's almost like when you have a British person trying to speak to a Chinese person, even though they have a good intentions, even though they have a good message they're trying to communicate, but they are still not understanding each other.
So therefore, the communication is ineffective. Like you said, not that they don't have the right motives or the right reasoning, but they want to deliver a message in a language that the other person does not understand, that doesn't translate well. And then in a relationship, it doesn't translate to their love language. So therefore, it's ineffective. So how can we be more effective in helping our spouses to feel love? So the first one we're going to talk about is words of affirmation. And what does that mean? It simply means just really verbalizing how you feel about your partner, appreciating them, whether it's by writing a card or by verbally saying, I love the way your hair looks, or I really appreciate what you do for our family. Those things are what people want to hear when that words of affirmation is what's important, or their primary love language.
And sometimes the words of affirmation can actually have a negative effect. Now, for example, if I know that Nardine's primary love language is words of affirmation, and I don't make an effort to write a card or say something that's encouraging, even though I didn't grow up in all this touchy-feely type personality or maybe a family, but if I know that her primary love language is words of affirmation, I really need to make an effort to speak in a language that she appreciates, that she's going to value, and that's going to make her feel loved.
And the second one is quality time. So what does that look like? It's when you're spending and giving your spouse or your partner undivided attention, where you're not distracted by phone or the television, but just really spending time with them, quality time, away from the kids, away from everything else. And really, that's what speaks your love, that's what tells them that you love them, that you're willing to take the time to make sure that they know that they are special.
And then the quality time can be very different for different people, right? For someone, it could be some couples or love going on a hike, or maybe, it's his or her primary language. She just loves spending this undivided attention, or maybe, be able to drop off the kids somewhere at the grandparents or neighbors, or be able to go out on a date late at night, watch a movie, but someplace where you feel like you can connect and your spouse is feeling, you know what, he or she is giving me this undivided attention, and that really makes them feel very encouraged by that.
And the third one is receiving gifts. And for some people, that's really important for them to have something that's tangible, something that they can keep have that as a keepsake. And it's important for them to feel like they are loved in terms of giving gifts. And for some people, it may not be. They may feel like, oh, is this person materialistic? And that may not necessarily be the case. It's just the fact that that's just how they feel loved. And it's so important not to judge your partner's love language, but to really be inquisitive enough to find out what it is and appreciate it,
And I think just to add to this a little bit more, receiving gifts, it doesn't always mean getting something very expensive, or you all of a sudden feel like your spouse is just have this, big desires to have expensive car, jewelry, all kinds of things. A lot of times what matters is just a thought. Maybe you thought about writing them a card and, including sending flowers or sending, and I'm talking specifically about women in this case, but sometimes there are men that appreciate receiving gifts. It could be getting a good bottle of wine or whiskey, or getting them, maybe they're into fishing and buying them a fishing rod. A lot of times it's nothing very expensive. Sometimes it's just a thought that really counts, and it makes them feel like, oh, this person, my spouse, my partner, is thinking about me.
Yeah. Well, for the guy part, don't forget gadgets. That's huge.
I'm still waiting for my gadget. Although this is not my primary gift, so I'm okay with that.
Right. So our fourth love language is acts of service. And what acts of service is the things that you do to ease the burden or responsibilities off of your partner. And really, for those partners, actions really do speak louder than words. And there are things like washing the dishes and running errands, and especially when you are putting off things that you could do to sacrifice for them, that really says that you do care and love them, especially when they're not even asking for help and you're initiating to help. Sure. And so our last one is physical touch. And physical touch can be both non-sexual and sexual. And a lot of research has been done around child development and with babies, and they found out that babies who are held and kissed are healthier emotionally than those that were not. So physical touch is really powerful way of expressing your love for someone whose primary love language is physical touch. So with all these different love languages, what's important to remember is that they may not be yours, but just to make an effort to really practice your partner's primary love language.
So you kind of been listening to us, and you're trying to take all this information, and you're hearing words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, physical touch. But now you're probably asking yourself, well, how do I find out what are my primary love language? So here are 3 things that we would like to share with you how you can identify your primary love language. Number 1, examine your childhood. Try to think about the things that how your parents showed that they love you. They might have bought you gifts, they might have done laundry for you, they might have spent a lot of time. So if you look back on your childhood and you start finding out certain patterns or certain things that your parents done for you, and all of a sudden this is something that maybe you are also doing or you feel like you're expecting to receive, this could be a hint that this might be a primary love language.
And the second one is you have to ask yourself, what's your first instinct when you feel like you want to be loved by someone? What is it that you want them to give to you?
And number 3, think for a moment how you might have been hurt in the past by someone else. It could have been as a child, as being a child, you maybe did not get certain type of gift that you expected. Or maybe you felt alone because you didn't have this quality time that you were expecting to spend with your parents. So those types of things that you can look at now, you can actually will help you to shed light on what your primary love language might be.
And lastly, what you can all do at the end of this video is go to the5lovelanguages.com and take the quiz and find out what your primary and secondary love language is. And also find out what your partner's is as well, and start encouraging each other. So this is all we have for you for today. And please check back with us again for next week with
Relationship Minutes. So So all this information that we guys just shared with you about the book and about the quiz that if you would like to take, you can follow in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe if you have not yet, and hit the like button if you like this content, and we're looking forward to bring you a lot more than what we have today. Otherwise, we'll see you soon.
Bye. Take care.